basically tortured to get an admission out of her, but she had been beaten by her husband. Just awful. What a situation. Anyway, Mary's death mask was taken as sort of a cast of her face post her execution, and it famously has been in the police museum for years. Well, groundbreaking science is being used to sort of recreate that mask in a new way. To tell me about it is Mike Donnelly, an engineer at WMG at the University of Warwick, who's helping to do this. Hello to you, Mike. So can you tell us what it is you're doing with the death mask?
Hi there, morning. Yes, sure. So as part of a long-term partnership we have with the West Midlands Police, we were asked to apply some of our 3D scanning technologies as well as the 3D printing technologies to capture and recreate a replica of Mary Ball's face mask. Death mask, I should say.
Yes, it's not. This was a sort of, it's a really eerie looking thing. It's one of those sort of standard school trips for Coventry kids going to the police museum. And I swore blind after a visit there, by the way, I would never drive with tins on the passenger seat. I'm not going to go into that now, but please don't ever do that. Mary Ball's death mask was one of the sort of big exhibits and freaked me out then, as it does now. What will recreating it do?
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, it's a fascinating object and quite morbid when you do see it in person. What this recreation will do is it'll allow people who are visiting the museum to physically interact with the face and, just get more of a personal connection, which will add to, the impact of hearing her story or reading her story and make it a bit more real.
So how does the technology work then? What will you do?
So effectively, it's called photogrammetry. So it's creating a 3D model through the use of multiple photographs, which we take at different angles and different levels. We then align them together to create a 3D model, which we can then use to 3D print an exact replica.
And so how similar will it look to the original? What materials are you using?
So the 3D prints are in plastic, so the feel of the material is slightly different, but because the original will have been plaster of Paris or wax-based. However, there are certain finishes we can put on top of the plastic to make it feel and look a bit more exact. But the piece as it is a very accurate recreation.
So I'm looking at photographs of it now, and actually the original, because of its sort of its age, and it is made of plaster of Paris, it's not necessarily that clear. It's kind of eerie taking a look at these pictures because it is more like looking at her face.
It's very eerie, yeah. You're looking at the face of somebody who died quite a tragic death over 160 years ago. And just looking at it and getting a feel for it, especially if you were to hold that mask in your hand, I think it would really hit home. This was a real person who suffered quite a horrible death.
Yeah, what's that like to work on? Can you sort of disengage yourself from this project? Because this was a real lady who went through this horrible ordeal and suffered a tragic death. Does it feel a bit freaky?
Yes, it can feel a bit morbid, but equally fascinating. And you do feel like by running this project and bringing this to the public eye again, you're bringing her story back to light, and you're giving her, the chance to have her story known to the modern day Coventry.
Yeah, had you heard the story before you started working on this project?
No, personally, I haven't heard it, so it was news to me, but I definitely won't forget it now.
No, I bet you won't, and I bet loads of people won't too when they see this exhibition. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. It's so interesting, isn't it, what they can do with technology? Mike Donnelly there from WMG at the University of Warwick.